Hey folks, it's Brian. We got to play in Elderath last night, which brought together a couple of, at the end, maybe the middle, two different strings of events that had occurred previously into one point. So let's see, where are we? Okay. I'm showing session 110. I think I've missed some sessions and I've still got some recordings on my computer, so I'll go back and look and see if maybe I recorded but didn't upload anything. Anyway, okay, it is Lorvain, which is summer. It's the first week. Day 7's when Wes and company communicate with the islands. Okay, how soon can the ship be readied? On the Raymond and company side, uh, Raymond is notified in the middle of the night about this meteorite in the sky. So he grabs the spyglass and he takes a look. He can tell it's about a 600 ton displacement ship. And then he goes to speak with the lieutenant of the tower. Have you seen this? And then he starts spreading the word about how signs and omens, the church is in charge, everything will be okay. Wes and company get back to Hamlet. So we meet up with Raymond. It's the first thing that Wes wants to do is get with Raymond. Okay, did you see this thing? And Raymond did. He saw it with the thing and he recorded it. And so he shows the recording to Wes. And Wes looks at it and he shows it to Rolf. Hey, Rolf, take a look at this. Trying to get this awakening thing for the character. But also to let him know, hey, there is some strange stuff happening around us. We're like weird magnets. So stand by since you're part of the group. Okay, now Raymond and Runt then decide to head off to the island to get the boat, while Wes and Hjalmar show Rolf around, although Hjalmar and Rolf need to do some healing. We go see the druid and we discuss these undead wolves thing. And the druid then has the capability to heal Hjalmar so he can get his lost strength back. While we're doing that, Runt on the way to the ship is bringing Raymond up to speed on the wolf encounter. So Raymond takes a look at Runt's wound, which is still infected, and he recognizes that it's going to take a restoration in order for him to recover his missing characteristics. So there's some kind of metaphysical relationship between some diseases and this particular kind of undead. Okay, back to Hamlet. Wes and company take the druid to the wolf location, point out all the spots. It's starting to get dark, and the cloud cover starts over the swamp, like a massive storm starts to swirl up. And Wes remembers the same sort of thing happening just before the wolves attack, so he's expecting something else to happen. So he draws his weapon and starts scanning about. The druid, and he asks the druid, he knows any weather magic, and the druid does know weather magic. He says, I had not anticipated such a change like this. And then he starts, cast a spell or two. And he says, oh, this thing is completely unnatural. Something is greatly amiss. And so we head back to Hamlet. And on our way back, we encounter an invisible something. Emerald was the one who spotted it up in a tree. And she's kind of looking at it. So Wes is trying to follow it. And he actually sees it at one point. But then he loses track of it. But it was moving essentially away from us, so he's not too worried at this point. So he heads back to the tower, gets up in the top. We're trying to keep an eye on the storm. He'll send Emerald up and out on occasion just to see if she can see anything unusual. The druid meets with the militia captain and village elder to them about the unnaturalness of this storm. And then Raymond and Runt and Krim show up. Not with a boat. They show up at the tower. It turns out that having reconnected the ley line to the gate disconnected it from where the power was going, which was a holding cell for one of the Forsaken. Estolf, who is Samantha Stolf, by the way, is the boss of the two wizards who did that reconnection of the ley line. And so she is gathering forces to come to the tower to deal with the unleashing of the cell. While they were doing that, they sent Raymond to the temple to get Krim and to coordinate things when they get back here so that Raymond can tap into the temple resources. Okay, so Wes, Hjalmar, and Krim go to the Friends farm for transportation to Telgar because Wes has to let Lady Tamara know and see if there's something they can't do to help us. The underlying gist of that was Rolf doesn't have anything magic to fight these undead. Can you borrow a toy? So he goes. We go to Telgar, and the merchant's quarter in a shed is one of these teleport points. Our teleporter is standing at a cafe nearby. We go to the castle, seek audience with Lady Tamara. She's there with Sir Michael, Flavius, who's the court bard, and Bishop Carter. She greets Wes, and Wes forms the image of the key in his mind, the leaf thing, in order to get the orb's attention. And the orb notices it. He says, and Wes tells him, "Hey, I'm seeking knowledge to understand how to deal with and counter this evil that has been unleashed." And the orb says, "Oh, there's not enough time for us to bring you up to speed on how to deal with this task that you have assigned yourself." And he says, "I suggest an alternate strategy." But he didn't really say what it was. Anyway, getting back with that time after that time stop, Wes says to Lady Tamara, "I believe one of the Forsaken has been loose." And he brings the group up, and of course the bishop doesn't believe him. Brings them up to speed on this whole ley line connection to the gate and to the prison. They say that they will send assistance as soon as possible. So Wes and Hjalmar and Krim then head back to the gate to head back to Hamlet. Back at Hamlet, the Islanders and Samantha arrive. This is before Wes gets back and asks, "Are you ready?" He says, "I see that you're not." He's not even here, is he? Now, where this came from, I'm not sure. So that's kind of one of those question marks burning in the back of my head. And Raymond says, Wes has, some responsibilities here and needs to take care of. He'll be here soon. He's quick. Okay, so we arrive, and there are 3 people. 2, which are the 2 wizard guys that disconnected or reconnected the ley line who we met before, and this middle-aged, nondescript woman. Introduction made. This is Samantha Stahl. And she points out, "Hey, are there any weapons that he can use?" Pointed at Rolf. And Wes says, "I'm sorry, I wasn't able to bring back any toys." So Samantha then steps and disappears. And that Hallmark's attention, Hallmark's player attention go, "What?" She just disappears, and the GM kind of describes it. It reminded me of the Star Trek episode with the, I think they were android women, where they went 2-dimensional and then 1-dimensional and then disappeared. It was a good view. And so then there's discussion. Okay, so are we going to walk? Are we going to ride? And Wes kind of looks at these guys. Can't you just teleport us there? I mean, we're talking about this being, important, time sensitive. Well, we don't want to port right directly to the gate, but we could do it just outside the swamp. So they do so. We show up at the campsite, and the swamp is getting bigger, so it's almost inundated the campsite here. Samantha does show back up in a reverse sort of deal, and she has a bracelet and a war sword for Rolf, a best sword and a half, whatever you call it. She describes how to use the magic bracelet, which has a gem, a dial on it, right? So you can dial from 0 to, I think, 20. And as you dial it up, it's a force field generator that, absorbs damage. And it tells him the sword will do its thing, just hold on. I really wanted to see some of that happen, but it didn't. Okay, so we enter the swamp. We're into some undead giant carnivorous frogs. Carnivorous frogs, now undead. So that's a little different. Well, giant carnivorous frogs, which is normal, but undead was different. And we dispatched them fairly quickly, although Wes did use up a fair amount of magic points. And I actually need to talk to GM about that because I was using the Sapphire Star Crystal, Star Star Sapphire Crystal. Well, the mana generator that he's got, because it's tied to essence, because it gives him a plus 20 bonus on his essence spells. But the Nature's Wrath, spells that he's been using to give him extra damage. And by the way, after talking with the GM afterwards, it's not doing double damage because that's an Iron Crown kind of mechanic. But 2 points of power. His linear progression ideology is a D4 for 1 point, D6 for 2, so he gives an extra D6. But still, that's an extra D6. That always helps. So, but he was burning through a bunch of those. But I don't know if I can use those magic points for channeling spells or not. I believe I can't for mentalist spells, because I know that during the session, when I did cast mentalist spells, I did use my own personal magic points. Well, Wes used his own personal magic points for that. But I need to find out about these channeling spells or not, if he can use those magic points or not. I kind of think he can, but I'm not sure. It's got its own power now too, so it's always fun things to interact with. Okay, so we dispatch the frogs, we get to the moat house, and there's a phase spider that shows up and attacks Krim. Krim gets an attack on it and it flees. So there's kind of discussions. Okay, we're here to get to the gate. The gate's in the Underkeep that we access from not here but elsewhere. Rain was thinking we could use this as a base camp kind of thing. And there's some kind of rationality on, hey, if we make sure the moat house is empty so that somebody doesn't come behind us to get us, makes some sense. But Wes is thinking we just need to get to the gate and get the thing fixed. So we back out of the moat house, go out to the external Underkeep, which has the 4 towers that are just under the surface. So there's a mound out there with a tree on it with the broken canoes in it. That has an entrance, goes down into a tower, through a wall, down some stairs to a square hallway that we've been through a number of times. So we get down to the bottom and we start heading towards the gate when we run into skeletons. Now these aren't regular skeletons. They've got these glowing red eyes kind of thing. And they were pretty tough. They could dodge really well. They didn't really seem to hit a whole bunch, but they could dodge. I remember that being there. And Raymond's using his repulsions. He did repulsions 9 like twice, if not 3 times. Phase Spider did show up in the middle of the fight, but Sam locked it in space and time so it couldn't move, and then everybody was able to hack on it and destroy it. And we, between the 2 sessions, or maybe 3, of repulsions and the physical attacks we were making, we were able to finally rout out the glowing red-eyed goblin skeletons. So, but again, Wes was pumping more Nature's Might out. So he's got this crystal down to halfway. That's where he stopped. He actually used 1 session of his personal magic points to get that last shot in. Okay, so head north and we head east again, and we notice Runt and Wes both notice for the first time a secret door on the south side of this hallway on the way to the gate room. And Sam says something about it being an elevator that goes to the golden something. I didn't quite catch that. I tried, hey, wait, golden what? But that never got answered. But in discussions, it's being run by this guy named Victor Adrian, which Rolf, by chance, he rolled a not 2, has heard of this Victor guy before from his early childhood memories. Something about him moving merchandise. And so he's thinking merchant, I'm thinking fence. But, excuse me, it is what it is. So we head on down to the hallway. We get to the entrance. And there's a bunch of saving throws to go on. And Runt notices that there's a presence that's attempting to enter his mind to project a scene. And as I recall, if you missed your saving throw, then you froze, but you see everybody moving forward with you kind of thing. Or maybe people who went forward didn't see the frozen person frozen in place, but saw them come with him. It got kind of confusing for me. But anyway, lots of mentalism type attacks going on. Sam says she will deal with it. And there's an earthquake. So everybody made a dex save. Wes actually fell on that one. And there's another invasion of our minds that's being pushed out. Okay, so we need to see the door. Well, instead of seeing the door, we see a wall. And we knew there were magic put in place to help protect the door, right, from being seen. But we thought that we were exempt from that. The wizards are concerned because that they're supposed to be able to see the door as well. They try to uncover it with their spells, but they're not successful. So Samantha kind of pushes her hand, and it goes through the wall. There's another mind attack, but it's cleared after 3 rounds. And the wall thing disappears as the door we go through. And as we go through the doorway, we can hear something from the south. And Sam says, they're coming, everyone, through the door. So we enter the gate room. She's the last one to come in. And she closed the door behind her. The wizards cast, a hold spell kind of thing on the door. And she says, that will not hold them forever. I recommend we take up positions around, you take up positions around the hedge while these two do their job. She then enters the hedge. Okay, so the wizards start riding in the air, doing their magical mumbo-jumbo stuff. And as they do, we can feel a tension in the air, and the portal itself changes. And I want to say at this point, Ralph... Nope, there's something else happens first. Okay, so there is a loud bang on the door, and the chamber itself shakes. And Sam says, Lady Tamara has arrived. They are providing a useful distraction, but it won't be enough. The chamber itself begins to get cold, and the shadows begin to deepen. Some of us notice in part of the room really deep darkness in the northwest kind of corner area. And it's as if it's just leaking out of the shadows. There's blackness leaking out of the shadows. Runt points this out to us so the rest of us aren't surprised as this figure struggles and extracts itself from this inky, shadowy section. It's an insect-shaped thing. It once had wings, but they've been burnt and distorted. It's 9 feet tall, and it has a scythe for a weapon. It has some vague resemblance to a mantis. And this substance is like inky darkness as he's coming out, is like dripping off of him. And it's just like the inky darkness that came out of the creatures when we were on the desert mine. Also in the desert mine was the geode, and inside the geode was one of these creatures. Rolf, looking at the creature, made some rolls and ends up going unconscious. So he's becoming awakened just at the time you have to battle. So we'll see what he's able to pick up from this connection. Because he recognized that this creature has undergone some kind of massive radiation damage. And at that point we're hitting midnight, so that's where we closed up. Fun session all in all. Got Samantha stalled, which Wes was hoping to have a better interaction with, but it is what it is. Happy gaming.